So in the 3D, there is this contrast that we're all very well aware of, this duality that we're very well aware of. There are the lowest lows and the highest highs. The challenge comes in order for us to grow. There is the breath. There is the one and the other, the one and the other, the you and the me and the we. You see, what tends to happen in the 3D is it's very stark. You exist over there. I see something moving. Something, not me, is happening. Or I am happening and I feel like I'm in an island and I'm alone. That is very much a denser form of the 3D. Now we move into the 4D. And the 4D is when you know you are that thing that you're observing. You know that you are all of it, the challenge, the reward, the other. It is very much a leap in consciousness because you start to take responsibility for your life. I'm creating it. Everything that happens to me is not someone else, shame, blame, victim, perpetrator. It is me creating my world. We would call that the 4D, and that is a great leap of consciousness. And so what happens when you're in the 3D, we could also call that the scarcity paradigm. We've been talking about that a lot in the community. 3D, we could call that scarcity paradigm, so that when you feel you are alone and something is only going to come to you from luck or from work or from, we'll say, answered prayers, but in a way that it's, if I pray enough, everything's conditional, what we're saying. So in the 3D, something happens. Only something happens if your belief system is set up for it to happen. Do you see what we're saying? So however you feel, you attract. In the 3D, you're attracting it out of desperation, okay? Desperation exists in the 3D. Lack exists in the 3D. Scarcity exists in the 3D. And then what happens in the 4D is that there may still be a 3D challenge that comes up, but we are able to observe that challenge and go, I am doing this. I brought this to my life. Other people that I'm observing who are struggling right now are me. There's no difference. And so there's a whole range, of course, of vibration when you go from this 3D to this 4D. But generally, you have arrived in the 4D when that observer can really see and feel the energetics and go, you know, this is me. How is this playing out as me? And so there is no desperation. There is just creation, or there is just creation from challenge. And so anytime you're feeling anxious or you're feeling overwhelmed or you're feeling that big emotion, that means you have dipped down into 3D in order for you to embody it. And this is not a bad thing. In fact, we're going to work with this later in the more workshopy portion, okay? So we have an understanding of 4D, hopefully. This is when your heart is showing you that everything is connected, nothing is separate, and that there is a benevolent energy that is taking care of us in the 4D. So it's not a conditional energy. It is a very benevolent, loving energy that's taking care of us in the 4D. What we would say is the 5D is another leap of consciousness. And we're sharing this because we see you all living in these paradigms. In the 5D, this is where the emotions are fainter and fainter. So it's more of a space where you are simply moving energy creatively. So Randi's been speaking about this a little bit in the forum about how she's sort of wrapping her mind around where is she existing. And we would say in the 5D, the physical body and time becomes really trippy. So in other words, being able to feel everyone come in who's watching the video, you watching the video, being able to feel us all here in the past. That is an ability that you're cultivating from the 5D because time begins to change. That means you have access to everyone you have been in the past, alternate selves, past lives, future lives, future partners, future family, future mentors, future teachers, all of it is so accessible here and now. Okay. So from the 5D, it is hyper presence, hyper presence. And so what happens is we are creating. There's no waiting for it to unfold. There's no, I wished for this and where is it? I'm manifesting. Do you see that's more 4D and 3D because there's time attached to this. The 5D is I am breathing, so I am creating. I am listening, so I am creating. I am on this earth, so I am creating. We don't even like using ... so I am. Do you feel that's still a little conditional for us right now talking about the 5D? But what we want to get to is just being alive and existing. You are the living, breathing deity, creative life force. In the 6D is this everything is not about you observing you and us. There's still in the 5D, there's still this little bit of orientation of, I'm going to speak to you. I know I am you. I feel I am you. I know I am you across time. You. There's still that little bit of duality that exists. There's still an opportunity for a conversation. We could call it a transaction, but we like interaction. There's still an ability to maintain an interaction. Do you see how that has to be a little modicum of what we could call time or what we could call physics of separation, okay? Just enough that if you were to go, I'm going to put this finger, and this thumb, they're both mine. They're both mine. But how do I feel the sensation if there's not one and then the other? Do you see? This is like 5D, okay? Randy's laughing at this metaphor. She's going to use this one. This is still 5D. In 6D, so much is happening all at the same time that it is so subtle, it is so fine that the creation, the ebb and flow of the creation, it is like being the ocean current. And you're not noticing anything but the dance. And then you are the entire ocean. You are every drop of water in the entire ocean. And it's very difficult, even very difficult from the 6D vantage to even separate out that drop and ocean. We know you guys are feeling these existences. So there's a lot that happens in your dreams where your energy system, whether you're dreaming or whether you're in deep in meditation or whether you're on cloud 9 or whatever that is, that frees you, whatever frees you from a lot of discernment of, I'm going to be this, I'm going to do this, I want this, or my brain is hopping around. So it's really, really, really sublime states of existence that we as humans are privy to, that are 6D experiences. It is so much recognition of the whole by 6D. This is why it's been referred to as Christ consciousness, that there is just simply this really fine, beautiful dance. There was, Randy was fascinated by something that we said as Vyrrlah, when you really begin to tune into the abundant dance of the multiverse. And we would say that that is a very 6D experience, and that your energy system as a whole, so we would say you exist from 1D to 7D, when your system as a whole is sleeping, we would say you're primarily operating from 3D, 4D, and 5D, okay, as human beings, especially now, more and more of you are 4D and 5D. And we would say that in the 6D, when you go to sleep and you get that deep REM, there's this, how else can we restore? But just to be that ocean, just that. that source energy, which is incredible as well, because Randy's going, whoa, then what is 70? But that's not necessarily for this workshop, okay? We would say that there's even more. There's even more. It becomes even more subtle. But we want to stretch you a little bit from this understanding of 3D to 6D, because the more you recognize who you are in these levels, the more you understand how manifestation and creation works, okay? You have an opportunity to deepen the ways in which you are creating and manifesting in your life, okay? And Randy's been speaking a lot about money in the community, and we would say that there's so much that is having to be cleared in the 3D in order to free you up to living more often in the 4D. There's plenty that needs to be cleared in 4D in order for you to be free and open, and we would say of a light enough vibration. Remember? 5D, right? 5D, super fine. And yet we recognize that you all are finding yourselves there more and more and more. So here we are. How do we continue to grow? So what we're going to go through in the workshop portion is a really important exercise in dropping the anchors from the 3D so that most of your experience is in the 4. You're going to be visiting the 3D very infrequently, but it's important. So we're going to liken this to like jumping on a trampoline, okay? In the 3D, especially as you're growing up as children, the trampoline looks like this. Woo! Yeah, my gosh, I want the biggest trampoline. Would you not agree? That's something that the child wants. I've got big emotions. I'm super happy. Oh my gosh, the world is going to end. Ah! You see what we're saying? 3D is this incredibly creative gambit. Incredibly creative gambit. And so you can't create in the 4D with that range unless you are really tuned into the 3D. Okay, so we want to talk a little bit about the spectrum, or is here's despair and here's joy and ecstasy. How do we get to joy and ecstasy? Oftentimes in the 3D, we have to go all the way to despair. Do you see? So what happens as you guys are living more and more in the 4D is that it's more subtle. It gets closer, that the jump goes like this. And it's not this trampoline, but it's more of this jumping off spot. Or we could use this metaphor where it's more like you start to grow your wings. I'm taking myself up here. I'm starting to float down. It's like being on the moon. And then here, this is just going to help me get a little higher, a little more momentum. Do you feel the difference between 4D and 3D energetically? So we're going to do an exercise, a powerful exercise later in allowing that transmutation of your 3D limitations to be that little impetus where you start creating and you feel that expansiveness more often in your life. You feel that joy and freedom more, literally different ways that you can do this. You can grow your wings, you can create a hot air balloon experience. All of these are metaphors for being lighter with more ease and more joy and more love, here and nowness, limitless expansion, and more source for other people. Okay, not just for you, but for others. Because remember, in 4D, there's just this barest glimpse of separation. There's an acknowledgement of autonomy in 4D, and that's it. By 5D, even the autonomy gets a little shifty. Okay, so what we're saying here is that in this 3D, when you had the lowest lows, or not even that, your day is going to have its own metric, right? Its own spectrum. So on a day, if you think about what was the most challenging part of my day, where did I go into what we would call a negative emotion? And if you had a pretty good day, then it may not be very negative, but just take a moment and see if you can recall that. And then notice what was the highest, what was the opposite of that spectrum on this day, because this day is a whole microcosm in and of itself. What is the highest? So what we're asking you to do with this little exercise is show just show you how often you're operating between these dimensions. And so what happens is we need that negative emotion. And it just depends on how you are looking at that negative emotion. Is that something that you recognize that you created? If you are in a somebody did this to me, if you're in that blame, it happens to Randi still. If she is blaming somebody, if this had just gone this way, then this wouldn't blah blah blah. She's down on her big trampoline, and that's fine. She's just going to do this because this is coming back to her little inner child where somebody taught her that she is not source. Somebody taught her she is not here and now. She is not love. And so you're always going back to that great, great separation where in order to be here in this body, I must understand that I am not my divine nature. Do you feel that difference? How's that feel in your body? I am not source. I am not limitless expansion. I am not love. I am not here now. You guys feel yourself going into 3D? Very different, right? So in order to be, because this is the thing, we're teaching you about dimensions and densities here because your goal in becoming more abundant or having a more abundant life is to simply coach yourself or move yourself or dance yourself or be yourself. You already exist simultaneously in these other Ds. So the more you are finding yourself, I'm in 4D, whoa, what if I'm in 5D? The more you understand that that flow state, that pure, abundant life is right now. It's not about you doing this in order to do this. That's very conditional in 3D, okay? It's been a very good tool to get many of us to the 4D. If I visualize, then I will manifest. If I write myself affirmations, then I will manifest. If I would have fill in the blanks, these are beautiful tools and we're not negating them. What we are saying is that's just simply utilizing your trampoline. And what we invite you to do is to go ahead and sprout your wings so that in 4D you stay a little higher. And then you don't have to come down to use your tools as often. So what we were wanting to teach you or remind you, because many of you guys are already doing it, is to stay in this state where you are all connected. We could call it a very spiritual lifestyle, where you are responsible, you are aware, you are connected. And when you go, oh no, something happened, I have to feel the feelings for a moment, that's okay. Because you have to come back down to 3D. You're in a body. Your body will bring you into 3D, okay? And so what we're wanting is for you all to recognize when you're in 4D. Pause. You do this often. Do this whenever there's an idle moment. One of Randi's great teachers talked about segment intending. And so we would say, intend throughout your day. Am I in 4D? Am I feeling that web of life? Wow. I am not just source, but everything is source. You guys feel that difference dimensionally from the 3D I am not to I am? And then we would say in the 5D, what starts to happen is the I want to create this, I am creating that, I am bringing this into my life. That becomes less and less and less. So you're doing most of your manifestation creation in the 4D because it's less and less focused in the 5D. In the 5D, life is just happening to and with and through you. But in order to say, I have this desire, I would really like that partner. 4D desire. Jesus, I really need a partner. I need a partner. What D is that? 3D. Yes. You feel the difference. I need $1 million. We're being a little dramatic here. But that's because that's where the drama is. The 3D is where the drama is. And we all came here to go look at this show. Whoa. This trampoline is out of this world, man. Let's be kids. Let's be kids and forget and be told that we are not our higher power. It is a wild ride. And so what we're offering is this awareness of the empowerment that exists in 4D. I'm empowered. I'm creating. I don't have a partner, so I want a partner. So, okay, and so it is. And so it is. And so the partner is coming. There's this confidence that happens in the 4D. And the beautiful thing is the more you're in 4D and the more you might go, oh gosh, I'm really tired, or I'm really hungry, or I just heard that story that kind of threw me off. The more you might dip towards 3D, but then the easier the bounce back up is, the more you can pause. And we're going to go through some very specific tools here in the workshop portion. But what we want to talk about is an encouragement to recognize that in the 4D, you are doing it. You're creating every life. Your life in every moment is all you. We're not waiting on a savior. We're not waiting on somebody to save you. We're not waiting on something to be different from your life the way it's always been. You are your higher power. You are fully every cell of your body, knowing it without a doubt. Trust doesn't exist while we're in the flow. It's true. In the 4D, especially we would say high 4D, trust doesn't exist. You're not trusting that it's coming. Do you guys feel the difference? If you're trusting something is coming, it's because you aren't sure that it's coming. Do you understand that? If it's coming, there's no trust, right? And as Stacy clarified, it's simply a matter of time. It's not if it's coming, it is when it's coming. Do you guys feel the difference? How freeing. How free. And so we understand that many of you are living here. You know this. You know the difference between 4D and 3D. When you're living and creating from 5D, it is not, so we'll use Randi's example. I want a partner. 4D. 5D is, I'm already living with my partner. She feels that yearning for a partner, and then boom, she's there. Doesn't matter if that partner isn't physically there. She is so tuned into who she exists as. All of their lives, all of their existences, all beings in her field are so alive. Remember, it's like this. They're so alive with her right there. At the 5D, it takes a little more effort. And this is why the expansion of your brain is so important in these morning sessions that we do. It takes a lot of effort to densify into focused frequency by the 5D. And so we want to offer a little bit, we use the term a lot, 5D. We're shifting to the 5D. We're shifting to the 5D. Yes, you are, but we would say more in our frame of reference. What you're really doing is you're in a high 4D. Okay, it's because that 5D has so little time, it has so little body that Randi's desire to love herself through another feels a little silly in 5D because she is already pure love. And then that becomes even more expanded in the 6D. So creation is at its most juiciest in the 3D and the 4D. Do you guys see that? And so when we speak about 5D, we invite you to contemplate, to observe when you are in a 5D state of such multidimensionality that you are instantly feeling a feeling, and you feel all of the past versions of you that felt that feeling. You feel all the people in your field who are bringing you that feeling. And so when we go through our exercise, we'll talk a little bit about when you're hitting 5D, but notice when you can let go of your mind and you are in the flow. This happens a lot for Randi in dance. This happens a lot in yoga. Whatever your version of that, you could be drawing. We know that word, the flow. When you're literally in it, the time ceases to exist. Every little idle thought is just a pinpoint for all of this existence that you know you are as source, here now, love, and limitless expansion. That is 5D. And yet you're still engaging some part of your awareness through a physical embodiment.